G'day everyone, welcome to Craig's Aviation YouTube channel. My name's Craig Ingalls and in this video I'll be talking about pilot recruitment. This is a follow-on to the previous video that I've made on this subject. Okay, dress standards for job interviews and also meet and greets. And what I mean by meet and greets is where pilots go in and hand their CV or resume off to the chief pilot, and also in the hope to get a bit of an insight in terms of their chances of getting a job with a company. Basically, door knocking. Okay. The most important thing is to dress neatly and dress for the occasion. Now, generally speaking, wear neat, informal clothes. Okay, what I mean by that is wear a collared shirt with a fully buttoned, not a shirt like this, like a polo shirt, and also wear slacks. Don't wear denim. Okay, and wear a neat pair of shoes or boots. Okay, and for the guys, just a reminder. I'm sure most people don't need reminding. However, don't rock up with a 2 or 3 day growth as well. And if you've got a beard, it's not a problem. And obviously, long hair is and I mean really long hair. Okay, is out of the question. But you shouldn't be doing that. Okay, you're remember, you're going for a job as a pilot. You're not going for a job as a musician or a rock star or an actor. Okay, now. And first impressions are the most important with regards to being able to go through a recruitment process and then subsequently get a job. Okay, if you show up for a meet and greet or a job interview and you're not really dressed appropriately or your shirt's hanging out or you got dirty clothes or you've got a 3 or 4 day growth. That employer is going to think, well, you've come here like this to try and get a job. That's probably the way this person is going to come to work. Okay, if I employ them, So you've got to really think that way, and it's not really that hard, in my opinion. I have heard of stories, and I've seen some stupid things that pilots have done with regards to. Dress standards and even pilots employed by airlines. I've seen one pilot I done some simulator training with quite a few years ago who showed up at the simulator in extremely casual clothes, and it wasn't. It looked really bad, and the flight examiner who was doing the training. Unbeknownst to me, after the event, went and tore strips off this young fella. Okay, and he deserved it. Okay, for all the good reasons. Okay, with regards to interviews, I suggest in terms of general aviation, again, neat attire. It's up to you whether or not you want to wear a tie. I probably wouldn't wear a suit for a small general aviation job. However, I would certainly consider it if I was going to work for a larger general aviation operator or certainly corporate. Okay, obviously the airline arena is quite different. Certainly go the tie and suit. Okay, and I mean that's what I do all the time. If I'm going to be interviewed to fly a large aeroplane, a Part 121 aeroplane. Okay, I'd even do it for if I was going to go and have an interview, say to fly a King Air or something like that. Okay, but it's entirely up to the individual. But what I'm saying is dress accordingly and neatly, and use common sense. Okay. Aptitude tests for pilot recruitment. I do agree with them to a certain level. However, in some regards, I don't agree with them. Now, where I agree with aptitude tests, they should be conducted for junior pilots entering the industry, and I don't mean general aviation. I know some general aviation operators probably use them, but I'm kind of talking airlines, as mainly airlines, and probably a few other operators as well. So aptitude tests, they are good. Okay, I've done quite a few for jobs throughout my career, and I have actually got jobs that I've done them as well. However, at the end of the day, I've walked out of a lot of the aptitude tests and thought, what was all that about? You know what I mean? But I've still got the job. But I'm not a big fan of them. Okay, now, particularly at my age, I'm now 55, and to be quite honest, I can't see any reason why I would need to do an aptitude test to go on and get a job with an operator, considering my experience. And I'm pretty sure most experienced pilots who have been around a while would fully understand that. Okay, and probably agree with me on that. There are companies in Australia that do help pilots prepare for interviews and aptitude tests. Okay, I've been tempted to use them in the past, but I haven't. Okay, my recommendation to someone starting out in the airline industry, trying to get a job with the airlines, my recommendation would be to go and do one of those courses, particularly if you haven't had a lot of experience with regards to interviews. I've got no affiliation with anyone who does those courses, although I do know one guy that runs them, only just through a friend. Okay, but it's entirely up to the individual whether or not you do them. But just some advice for anyone who has never done an aptitude test, and you know you've got one coming up for a job interview. I would suggest you get online at a minimum and scout around and do some practice ones at a minimum, because it certainly will help get your mind in the right mode, particularly when you go in there and start the test. Some of the tests are timed, okay, they if you've never seen that kind of stuff before, it could probably be quite daunting as well. And there's also psychological tests where they ask all these weird and wonderful questions as well. Okay, my advice with regards to doing those is answer the questions honestly, like every question anyway, I guess, in an interview. But some of the questions might seem absolutely stupid and ridiculous, and they are in these psych tests and everything. But the key to it is answer the questions honestly. Okay. And you'll do okay. Okay, interview questions. Where do we start here with this? But anyway, what you've got to remember is the interviewers are trying to get an insight of how you think and how you would fit in, and also your ability to be able to be trained within their organisation. Just remember, if you're lucky enough to get an interview with an operator, you've already got the job before you got the interview. Okay, and all you've got to do to not get that interview, not get that job. Okay, all you've got to do is just blow the interview. Okay, which is quite easy to do if you don't really think too much about it and you're not prepared. Now, most interviews. And it depends on the organisation, but most larger organisations I'm talking about, you'll have normally a HR person on the interview panel and a pilot, okay, and there may be someone else as well, okay, but so the HR questions, most of those are going to be related to why you want to work for the organisation or the company. What can you bring to them? Talk about your background. They will probably ask you questions about but your behaviour, things like how do you deal with criticism, how do you deal with conflict, and and the key to these questions is try and answer the questions in relation to an experience you've already had in life. Okay, and good interviewers will actually ask for examples. Okay, they just won't purely ask academic kind of questions. They'll try and give you an example, ask for examples, or give you examples. Okay, or scenarios, and ask you, how you deal with a certain situation. Okay, and the same thing with the technical questions. Normally, the pilots on the interview or a pilot on the interview, that they will ask you the technical questions. Now, obviously, you can be asked anything, but generally speaking, most of the technical questions will be related to your level of experience. So if you've got an instrument rating, you can be expected to be asked some questions with regards to instrument flying. And most of the questions they ask, I'm pretty sure, will not be really nitty-gritty hard questions. They'll be basic questions that you should know. Things like ultimate minimas and maybe minimum fuel requirements and all that kind of thing. Okay, and on most occasions, the interviewer will, like I said, it'll be a scenario basis. Okay. Think practically about interview questions. I know a lot of people get stressed out about them, and I've done it as well. I've been through numerous interviews, but the more interviews you go through, they actually do become easier, in my opinion, because I've kind of learnt what to kind of expect. So. But it does come with experience, okay? And interviews, everyone gets nervous with interviews. It's normal, okay? Don't get too overwhelmed about it, okay? You've got to remember that the interviewers are fully aware of this as well, and they want you to be as relaxed as possible in the interview as well, okay? Because at the end of the day, they want to employ you, okay? They don't want to knock you back, okay? So they're there for you, okay, as much as you're there for them, okay? And I might just wrap it up now, but once again, thanks for watching this channel, and if you like it and you haven't already done so, please subscribe and click the like button, and if you've got any comments or anything, please post them as well. Thanks for watching, and have a good day, and see you next time.